Hi everyone, happy 2022. It's been a while since I last uploaded, 3 months to be exact. But I hope you guys have been enjoying your year so far. I hope everyone has been staying safe and healthy. For those of you who are new to my channel, hi, my name is Sue. I've been learning Japanese since August of 2021 and have been learning Japanese via the Refold / Immersion learning method since September of 2021, and this channel is just here to track my language process of learning Japanese. I do want to say thank you for all the amazing comments that you guys left in my first update video. It was really great reading all of your immersion journey stories and also having conversations with some of you guys, so thank you again for that. I hope you guys have been progressing well with your own language learning journey. And yeah, for those who haven't seen my 3-month update video, I'll just put a card above where you guys can go ahead and watch that. In that video, I was discussing the reasons of why I was learning Japanese, the ways I've been going about learning Japanese, and my goals moving forward. It has been 3 months since I created that video, so this is going to be my 6-month update, but if you wanted to see where I was back then, by all means go ahead and watch that before coming back to this video. And now with all of that out of the way, let's just get into it. So where have things been since I last updated? To put it quite plainly, it's been a bit rough. There's been a lot of ups and downs, but I hope to explain all of that in this video. So let's just go ahead and start from month 4. In terms of Anki, as I mentioned in my last video, I was going through the Tango and 3 Anki deck, and I was doing roughly 5 cards a day. This is a pre-made deck, and at this point, I was already doing sentence mining, but I wasn't a huge fan of it. I ultimately ended up dropping this deck. I only ever went through 284 cards before I dropped it, and I kind of went back into sentence mining. So during that month, I sentence mined not that many cards, just 56 cards. There was a kind of a reasoning towards that. During this time, I want to say early January, I unfortunately did catch COVID again because it was pretty rampant during the time. And so I didn't really have a whole lot of energy to do active sentence mining. So most of my time spent on Anki was just completing my daily reviews. I did spend majority of my free time though just trying to do immersion. So to talk about the immersion that I did during that 4th month, it was again mainly YouTube immersion. My favorite Japanese immersion channel has definitely been Hanai Natsuki's channel. So watching his gameplays, I watched a lot of his Little Monsters gameplays while I was quarantining. That was pretty fun. But also during my 4th month, I got really into watching movies. I made it a goal to watch a couple of Yamazaki Kento's movies, so I ended up watching LDK, 1 Week Friends, as well as Wolf Girl and Black Prince. I also ended up finishing the rest of Psyche K, but movie and YouTube aside, I also did a lot of passive listening, so I was listening to a lot of podcasts, so Nihongo Kontepe. I also started listening to a podcast called Yuta at Home. As for reading, I actually tried reading for the first time. I picked up the highly recommended Yosubato. I tried reading that. I only read, I want to say, a few pages. It wasn't terrible. It actually went a lot better than I thought it would. Considering that I always found reading very daunting. But I haven't really picked up reading since. That, in summary, was how month 4 went. So before I talk about my 5th month of immersion, I do want to talk a little bit about some of the health issues that I started to experience during this time. So as I mentioned, I got COVID back in January, and while the COVID didn't really leave me feeling super sick, I started getting random like abdominal digestive issues. Left me feeling pretty shitty for a while, actually a lot longer than I anticipated it would. I've thankfully, been to the doctor and thankfully got that sorted out, but still my health has been kind of not as great as I want it to be. I'm still working on feeling to my fullest. So that being said, I just really want to talk about prioritizing your own health and well-being. Immersion learning or language learning in general can always wait. I think it's really important to put your own well-being above all of that. So if you ever feel yourself getting sick or just not feeling up to it, please take that time to, prioritize your own health. Also, I started working full-time, so that was a huge change in my immersion schedule just because during my first, I want to say 4 months, I had so much free time because I wasn't working, but now I work a full-time job, and it's a bit stressful and it takes a lot of my days. Not to mention I have to work in a different time zone for that job, so being able to balance that in my immersion has been quite a challenge, I would say, but I have been learning how to manage both of that. So now that I got all of that out the way, let me just talk about month 5. During month 5, in terms of Anki, I just made sure to keep up with my reviews, and I tried sentence mining whenever I could. I was using Yomi-chan for my sentence mining during this time. I've now trans over to Mingaku, which has been a quite interesting shift, I would say. As for immersion, I continued a lot with my YouTube immersion mainly, so keeping up with Hane Natsuki, watching his gameplays, his new uploads, also his live streams. I was able to watch a lot of that. Another channel that I really enjoy is Nikchamo, where it's just two dudes who cook a lot of interesting meal combos and also sing time to time, so highly would recommend their channel for anyone who's looking into Japanese YouTube immersion. In terms of movies or animes, I was watching a lot of Demon Slayer as well as Attack on Titan, and for listening that month I kept up with my regular podcasts, and I also started listening more to anime audio, so I ended up listening to all of Attack on Titan Season 3 using the Please app. It's actually a really awesome resource where they offer a lot of anime condensed audio, so I highly recommend checking out their website. I don't know if they have an app. If they do, I'll post it here, but for anyone who's looking for easy to go condensed audio that you can just play on your phone or laptop or tablet or whatever device you use, I highly recommend them, so please check them out. Now for month 6, I wasn't doing as much immersion compared to my previous months, mainly again due to like work and health, but I still made sure to keep up with my Anki reviews on my old decks every single day. This past month has really been focused on sentence mining and sentence mining deck setup. And I did try mining most of my days, but I will truthfully say that I do not mine every day quite yet. I'm really working up to getting back into the groove of things. That break that I took really kind of messed with, like, you know, the flow that I had during those first 3 months. As for immersion, I actually did less YouTube immersion this month. For my 6th month, I surprisingly got really into watching anime. So some of the anime I watched during this time was Taru Lives Alone, Vinland Saga. I also started watching Sasaki in Miyano, and I ended up watching Love is Blind Japan. This is actually the first time I started watching any sort of like variety reality TV shows in Japanese. I haven't watched too many of the episodes, I will say, but it's definitely been an interesting watch. For my listening, I kept up with my usual podcast and also listening to YouTube content, so I also been getting a lot into watching TikTok live streams. So on my For You page, I've been getting a lot of recommendations for Japanese content creators who go live on TikTok, so I often just find myself clicking on them and just listening to their live streams as I go about doing my day. And yeah,
I forgot to record some stuff, so I'm gonna have to switch over to a robot voice for a bit. So sorry, please bear through it. Anyway, I want to transition into talking about my current level of comprehension. Where I'm at with my listening level now heavily depends on the content I'm consuming. It's quite easy to follow a slice of life anime as a lot of them use the same type of vocabulary, a lot being based around school. Understanding YouTube content is still much harder since not everyone speaks as clearly as you might hear in anime or dramas. Overall, with the addition of listening to podcasts, I definitely believe that has helped with my ability to parse the language and hear each part of a sentence. I think my main issue is my lack of vocabulary. There's still so much I need to mine in order for me to make more progress. Moving on to grammar, I still unfortunately haven't made much progress since my last update. My goal was to finish Tai Kim's grammar guide, but I haven't read it at all. I have mainly been trying to understand grammar in sentence merely through context of what I'm watching. I will need to get back into reading a bit of grammar daily though. For speaking, I haven't attempted any early output yet. I definitely don't feel like I'm at the level to do so. I think this is something I will start thinking more about during my 9-month to a year mark of doing Japanese immersion.
I think this update isn't as interesting compared to my first update, but that's just kind of where I've been. I really want to be transparent as I can about my progress. It hasn't been as smooth as I've wanted it to, of course, but this is just how it's been so far. I really hope that for my 9-month update that, things will start picking up again. I'm not too mad about where I've progressed so far. Initially, I thought that I would be at a little bit of a higher level by this point, but things happen and it is what it is. I don't want to beat myself up over it, but I'm glad that I'm still just keeping up with my review so I don't really forget what I've learned so far, but also still been very steady with my immersion. In terms of goals moving forward, I just really want to start upping my sentence mining. Now that I feel like I have a bit of easier process with creating my sentence cards, I'm just gonna start getting back into the routine of that. I've also been thinking about getting more into reading, so I've been looking a bit more into visual novels or just playing more games in Japanese, so I hope to start doing that within the next month or two. So if you have any recommendations on any good games that you would suggest, please let me know. I would be more than willing to check those out, as well as books or light novels that you would suggest. But yeah, this is just a quick little update. Hopefully by my 9-month, it'll be a lot more grand than this one. Thank you again for everyone who has been watching and supporting my channel. If you stayed till the end of this video, thank you. Again, go ahead and leave in the comments how your immersion learning has been going. I would love to hear how that's been for you, and take care. Bye!